And I wanted to start off today talking about when I first got into this stuff back in the late 60s, early 70s. I was a field engineer in IBM, and it just means I was a glorified mechanic. I worked on computers and fixed computers, and back then there was a lot of mechanics too. And I really enjoyed working with my hands and seeing things work properly after I got done. And about 3 years into that particular business, it got to the point where I would receive a phone call that, hey, my key punch wasn't working right, had a problem. So I'd take the call and I'd go out to the customer's account, and I'd walk in, and there would be nothing wrong. It would be working at that point. And it was a good solid fix, if you would, even though I didn't touch it. So I'd talk to him for a while and ask him some questions about it and give him some suggestions of things to look at next time if it happened again, and I'd leave. Well, that worked fine, and say 3 out of 4 times on those kind of problems, just my presence would fix it, and I got kind of big-headed about that. You know, I just need to walk in and things start working. But I wasn't learning anything. And I was just starting to get in the metaphysical world, and I was looking at my life from a different point of view and seeing this activity going on, walking in, things fixed, and walking out, and I have nothing but my presence there to make it happen. And it felt empty. It felt successful, but also felt empty because I wasn't learning anything from it. So I stepped back and started approaching things a little differently. And I didn't yet have the idea of angels or guardians or guides or any of that stuff. It was just me at the time. But I was learning, on the other hand, from metaphysics that it wasn't just me, but it hadn't sunk in much yet. So I started thinking about, I want to learn how to, I've learned how to fix things theoretically in a class, but I'm walking in and they're working, and so I'm not doing anything. So I want to see this change, just thinking this way. I want to actually be able to see a problem on the machine so I can kind of tinker around with it and learn what the machine's supposed to be doing that way. And at that point, then I started becoming aware of other energies around me, aware of the fact that there were guides who were with me, who were learning what I'm learning at the same time, or who are there to do my bidding. And then I realized, like a light went off, okay, I was saying I want it fixed before I get there, and it was. And that was fine for the customer, and it was fine for me, but it wasn't learning for me. It was just, I'm not going to, for the rest of my life, run around just to be somewhere and make it work. I wanted to get my hands dirty. And believe me, as a field engineer for IBM back in the 70s, you got your white shirts filthy. We had to wear white shirts and ties. So from that point on, I set the parameters. Unless it's a total crater and the customer's really in serious hurts, I don't want this thing to be fixed before I get there. I want people that know how to dive into it and maybe direct my attention, so I'm looking at the right circuits or looking at the right mechanical schematics on this thing, and I want to fix it. I want to physically fix it. And at that point, my career in IBM took a giant leap. IBM has an award they call IBM Means Service. Probably 1 in 50 will earn it. And I succeeded in earning 3 of those in my career from this point on by using this type of an attack, where people that are helping me in the spirit world are helping direct me to where the problem is so that I can find it and not be sidetracked somewhere else. That proved to be very effective for a 15-year career with the field engineering department. Now, Well, go ahead, see if you can better that one.
Better it.
Yeah. I was gonna talk a little bit about the, just to change subjects on you wildly, see how flexible you are. When I first took the Star Power classes, and the gal that was here for a while was a nurse, I can't remember her name anymore. She went up to Portland with us a couple of times to that church.
I can't think of her name either.
Well, I'm sorry, can't remember the name. Anyway, it was just prior to your getting the pacemaker put in. So
Yeah.
you were kind of like phasing in and out, and we were up there in a class, or she was concerned because of the problems you were having. So she asked me to join a class, and after I'd been through the whole route of them, just come in on an odd man and be there to basically support you energetically. Well, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be doing, but so she explained it to me very shortly, and I understood where she was coming from. So while you were going around the room working with everybody individually like you always did, and I think this was an astrology class, so there was a lot of
12 of them.
a lot of people in there, a lot of places to go. All I did was surround you at that time. I didn't know how to do anything else, but I just put a bubble around you, a bubble of energy that kept you supported vertically and kind of deflected things away from you that weren't of a positive nature. And that seemed, from my opinion, from my point of view, it seemed to work quite well. You got through it okay.
Yeah.
And there were a few more times in that series of people that she asked me to come in and do the same thing. And then from that point on, though, I realized, okay, these are kind of like the things Jay's talking about when he's talking about pulling energy in from all over the place to help something, and not routing it through you, just saying, bring that energy, and I want you spirit people to do this with it. So as we go forward, and I did many more classes with you in that kind of a role of being the shield or the grounder for the group, we put some obsidian, those huge obsidian boulders out on the corner. We had 4 corners. One of them keeps disappearing, and it's gone right now, so we're going to have to replace it again. But those were the corner of our area of energy, and I would, when I would come into the center here for a class, I'd send 4 guides out, 4 corners. Okay, and I don't care who takes what corner. I give freedom of choice as far as that goes, but what you guys are going to do are you're going to rotate the energy around, and you're not going to rotate it just one way. You're going to have counter-rotating energies going the whole time we're in here. Because what I want is to keep bad juju, if you will, out and the good stuff in. However, I want the students, if they need to be tickled a little bit, I want that to be able to come through. But I want you guys that are running the force field, if you will, around out there to watch what you do let in when the student requires it, and make sure we don't get overrun. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. I guess we've been running Star Power classes. At least in my imagination, it runs quite well.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I will have I've got Robert Bennett, who's on the other side, was a friend, is a friend, very psychic friend, and Martin Shishanen, who was an engineer with me in Alaska. And he's passed. And those two are the two that I primarily go to because I've lived with Robert for many years, and I worked with Martin for years as well, so I have a good interface with them. Engineer to engineer, metaphysician to metaphysician. And I will often, when I come in, put them in charge, one or the other of them in charge of the field. And the other one comes with me up to the star room, so that if we have a question that needs to be handled or whatever, and I usually have Robert up there from that, because Martin was not metaphysical.
Yeah,
Martin was like, huh.
yeah,
He was from Switzerland too, by the way. But Robert was very metaphysical, even though he was also very human and had some of our weaknesses. So I find out that he's a very good sidekick to have when I'm upstairs, and there's only one person that's running pole. I can let him do multiple things at the same time for you and keep you out of harm's way, if you will.
yeah.
Okay. There's my second one. All right, I know you're going to top that, but so
No.
where we go.
To top it, but what it does is we have a team going.
Yes.
I have most of the, if we talk about the, let's take an easy one, take a 6-pointed star, a Star of David, and there's a particular function on each one of the points that the student is to feel and sense at their dimension, so that it becomes a meaningful experience, and how this can relate to empowering them to solve other problems later. This is a source to go to. That is, if you wear a Star of David symbol, you know what's all the energy that goes in and out of that, through that star, because you've experienced it and you grab a hold of it and hold it. My job was to pull in energy from the earth, the air, and the water that this person can identify with, to help them contaminate it with the knowledge, so it's a growing experience, that they feel it, they sense it, they smell it, they taste it, and they're with it. And it's like, then as they go around each one of the chairs and learn what it has to learn, of what is connected to, it's also connected to everything in the universe, the library of the universe. And we got a gopher, a third person that's connected now with that Star of David, to help them, always upgrading their knowledge from the Akashic records, or whatever the library I call it. And they use the energy of the earth, and we can also ask for a spirit teacher to be with them all the time in the application. It's a we world.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, the student learns knowledge that's beyond books in English. It might be in French, it might be in German, it might be in, but it's in knowing. And they're taught how to access this knowing, regardless of what the language is spoken here on earth, and have the same capacity of understanding as a person speaking German, French, or whatever other language, because they know the source, how it comes together. And they're connected to the source through this person, and after a while the teacher or the spirit person doesn't need to help you, because you know where to go in the library to pick it up and learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how our evolution of the soul begins on this earth. There is no limit to what you can learn, demonstrate, produce, be a part of. You choose. And you can choose the partner to help you learn it, one that you can relate to. They got all this earth energy to demonstrate it. It makes every day a day of creation that you created to make it better for you and your friends, or for society. And it's like going through college or going through school. It's going through levels until you master the game, and when you get to the PhD program, you're strictly on your own. But it's like going through the 12 grades, then through college, and then when you get in the PhD program, you and the universe are one. It all begins with trust and working with a person in the spirit world that has the knowledge, and together, your success.
Mhm.
How's that?
Very good. Well, I don't have anything to add, so this is probably going to be the end of this one. But how about if we put a commercial out there for the next one?
Okay.
The next one I'd like to talk about is the latest delving we did into the Eastern Star and mixed that with crystals.
Okay.
It took me probably 4 or 5 times in the east doing the Eastern Star before I could get those colors stuck in my mind. And even now, every once in a while, one of them slips away. But then when we mixed that with the crystals, just this last month,
Very personal.
it tightened the memory up on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, the red, the blue, the green, the yellow, the white, and the center point, I can specify the human attribute for those colors, and then the attribute of the crystals that are associated with that point and that color. So that'll be next month.
And think of it this way. The knowledge is like an automobile, and the crystals are the gasoline.
Okay?
And you're in the driver's seat. How fast you want to go and how far you want to travel, it's all up to you.
Okay.
See you next time.
See you on the road.